Hi viewers, I'm not a competent authority to advise you on medical thing. I'm not a medically qualified person, but I am a diabetic. I have gathered a host of information in the last 25 years out of my being a diabetic. I just want the benefits that I am enjoying to be shared to my fellow diabetics. That's all.
Hi guys, this is Harshane, your host for today's episode in replacement of Miss Jasmine. As we saw in our previous episodes, we had a very good discussion and a very informative session with our very own Kesavan Chakravarthy sir. And in that order, today we are going to understand and discuss about one of the rising problems of our nation, which is diabetes mellitus. Without any further delay, let's ask Chak about it. Hi sir.
Hi Ashini,
How are you doing, sir?
I am very well. And how are you doing?
I'm perfectly doing great, sir. Thank you so much for asking. So, as we saw in our previous episodes, you said you're going to give a brief on diabetes mellitus. So, shall we give a start on this, sir?
Of course, I'm ready.
Thank you, sir.
Please shoot your questions.
What is diabetes mellitus, sir?
Diabetes mellitus, although it is classified as one of the major diseases, it would be nice to say that more than the disease, it is a dysfunction or malfunctioning of one of the members of endocrine system known as pancreatic gland. And in pancreatic gland, some islets of Langerhans is a part of that, which has beta cells that secretes a particular hormone, which is responsible for metabolizing the sugar in our intake of food and converts that into glucose and supplies it as energy to all the cells in our system. So, any quantum reduction or excessive supply of this hormone results in disorder and diseases. And moreover, in the excessive sugar is left that mixes with the blood, which alters the rheology or the flow properties of the blood. And that can lead to so many other complications. And less sugar availability means the cells are starved of their energy.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
This is how it is a double-edged weapon, diabetes.
How many types are there, sir?
There are generally there are two types of thing. That is type 1 and type 2. Type 1 is inherently they don't produce any hormone at all. That is insulin hormone. And they have to be constantly under support and supervision. Type 2 is, formerly it was known as mid-age onset diabetes, or it is caused mainly by either genetic transportation or the trials of life and living causes a lot of stress in oneself. So usually the stress is more around 40-45 years. The stress begins. You must be knowing very well how hard everybody is working to make a living. So these stresses and all accumulate and causes this gland to malfunction. These are the two main types of.
So, what are the symptoms and indications of this disease, sir?
You can find, experience polyuria or frequent urination and malaise and dullness and depression and not having any interest in life, living, and above all, extreme hunger. These are all, and thirst. These are all the main indications.
Sir, how the disease affects the society and the country, sir?
Yes, it's a good question.
Yeah.
There are about 25 to 30 million adults in our country are suffering from this disease, disorder, whatever you may call, in the age group of 45 to 60. This is only enumerated and known figure. There are ever so, nobody knows the actual figure, how many people, unreported, undiagnosed people are there in this country. Because we have a huge population, and they expect this figure to touch about 50 million. This official figure to touch 50 million people afflicted with this disorder by 2030. Then you can imagine what would be the total people afflicted with this disease, the reported, unreported, undiagnosed, all this. Okay.
So, how important is to understand our blood sugar levels, sir? How to find one actually?
Yes, it's very interesting. In this disease, the main thing is to controlling your sugar, otherwise you may not live long. How to maintain that? In other diseases, you can go to your doctor. The doctor diagnoses your diseases and gives the proper remedies. And you come home and be done with it. But this particular disorder requires patient's knowledge, patient's information, most important. Because round the clock you cannot get any medical help, correct?
Yes, sir.
And the sugar metabolism is such. There are two phenomena known as hypoglycemia and hyperglycemia. Hyperglycemia means excessive sugar in the bloodstream. Hypo means less sugar or no sugar. That means no sugar means no energy. High sugar also no energy, but high viscosity of blood. So all these complications can be avoided if you know at any time, because the dictum level of human beings, sugar level should be, according to WHO finding, it should be between say 90 to 100 at the lowest level. At the highest level, about 182, it can go even touch about 200. No harm. But how do you find out this? That is where comes the role of glucometer. They have introduced what is known as, several companies are marketing them, introduced a glucometer. They will have a test strip supplied along with the meter. You insert that whenever you are in doubt, whenever you have this tired feeling and the polyuria, there is frequent urination, heavy thirst and sweating and all these things. You cannot go at that time to any doctor. So you find out the sugar level at home. That is why this device is made. So you insert the strip in the device, and they have also provided one pricking lancet with that. Lancet means it will prick and bring out one small drop of blood in your fingertips. Usually fingertip is the convenient place to sit. Then you take that blood and apply it on the strip, test strip inserted in the machine, and that gives within 6 seconds, exactly in 6 seconds, it will give us the reading of your current sugar position, current level of sugar. Suppose if it shows about 90, that means you are dangerously low, below. You are likely to go in the next 5 to 10 minutes very low sugar, and you may go into coma. So what you should do, you must immediately take some sugar, ice cream or simple sugar, ingest it. Within few seconds you will recover. Okay, if it is on the higher side, this is hypoglycemia. What happens if you have hyperglycemia? Suppose you have this sugar meter shows about 200. So what you should do, that time you should walk a little bit so that you spend some energy. Or if possible, if you are young enough, you can run. Okay, about a half kilometer, 1 kilometer, you will become all right. Okay. How to prevent all these incidences? That is regulating your lifestyle. When you are earning 100,000 rupees, you are spending lavishly everything, correct? When your salary is cut to 50% or 25%, 30%, so your available amount is less. So you have to economically spend it, correct?
Yes, sir.
That is some diabetic life also. When you have enough insulin, well controlled thing, you can do anything. You can take ice cream, you can starve, do anything you want. But when you are diagnosed as a diabetes patient, you should know, you should have in-depth knowledge about what is happening to you round the clock. And these instruments and this whatever things I told you will definitely come handy and help you to control.
Sir, I honestly wanted to ask you about the food habits and the diet chart because I've seen my father who is diabetic and I've seen him taking these bitter gourd juice and this moringa soup and banana stem soup, everything in the early morning. So it is really necessary for him to take these kind of foods for his diabetes. What is your opinion on this?
You better ask me a very nice question, because this kind of mad belief, stupid ideas are very widely spread among our people. Bitter gourd juice, that is your power card now,
Yes, sir.
that contains about 22% carbohydrate, that is nothing but sugar. Okay, it's very dangerous to take bitter gourd juices because, and what else he said? That
Moringa soup.
they are nothing but simply waste of time and energy. That's all. I have nothing more to add. It's sheer stupidity to do such things. Go and consult a doctor. Don't indulge in all these things. You can eat whatever you like, but in limited quantities. Except do not take sugar directly, sweets directly. They're very dangerous. Otherwise, you can eat anything and everything you like in small quantities.
Yes, sir. Sir, how to maintain and control without resorting to test very often, sir?
That's a very good question, because every day you keep testing your sugar level and controlling. You will spend all your lifetime only doing that and worrying about that. There is one very easy method to maintain your sugar level. That means you must have some discipline. You must take your diet. Whatever you eat, take it on time, plus or minus half an hour or maximum 1 hour. If you are taking a breakfast at 9 o'clock in the morning, you can take it between 8 and 10 anytime. But you must have that mandatorily at the time. Like that lunch when you have, you fix a time. Within half an hour plus or minus that time you must have lunch. And don't indulge in snacks. Have enough lunch so that you will have enough sugar level to maintain up to evening dinner. Correct? And dinner also should be taken only within plus or minus half an hour. If you have this kind of regulatory eating habits, your sugar level may not vary much. Very much. Okay? So, you maintain your this thing, and also exercise. Most important. Exercise. Exercise means you don't have to buy any equipment, go to gym or anything. Those people who can walk, just walk for about half an hour every day. Anytime, you choose your time. Not necessarily in the morning, afternoon, or any time. You can even walk in the midnight, but you must walk. Which is essentially to working all your muscles for half an hour. That's enough. The diet and exercise is the main indicator to lead a very happy and healthy life. Enough?
What other precautions should I take in order to avoid any future complications, sir?
Yes, you must strictly follow what I am now suggesting. You must make regular visit to your physician or doctor or diabetologist who is treating you for this disease. And whatever medicines he has prescribed, you must very faithfully, religiously take it on time according to his prescription. Number one. Number two, you should also visit an ophthalmologist, an eye specialist, because this disease can cause what is known as diabetic retinopathy. That means your retinal, in your retina, the blood vessels can get punctured and you can lose your vision also. Therefore, you should test once in 6 months your eye with an eye specialist. And finally, mandatorily once in 6 months, you must visit your dentist. You might ask what the dentist has got to do with this diabetes. Yes, everything. You know, our oral cavity is the easiest place where already existing flora and fauna is there in your oral cavity. But your oral cavity's health will generally tell about your general health also. So you must go there. You must find out all your dental conditions are fine. And if scaling is required, you should scale and do it. So these three mandatory doctors, very essential for you. Your personal physician, your ophthalmologist, that is your eye specialist, and your dentist.
So, what other diseases I'm likely to get on account of being a diabetic, sir?
Yes. Once you are diabetic, you stand very good chances of getting into the following diseases and disorders: cerebrovascular diseases and heart-related diseases and dental diseases like gum diseases, and importantly, your blood flow related diseases, which will result in diabetic neuropathy, that will in turn result in diabetic foot or constriction of blood vessels due to high viscosity of blood. So you are likely to lose your limbs also if you are not careful. If you don't do all those previous exercises and regular visit of your doctor, you are likely to go into all these complications. So to avoid that, you must follow my advice.
So, what are the medications available for this disease?
Yeah, of the two types, IDDM, that is insulin dependent diabetes mellitus, that is the first group. The second group is NIDDM, that is non-insulin dependent diabetic mellitus. Initially, I told you the two types.
Yes, sir.
These are the two types. And for IDDM, the name itself is suggestive. There is insulin for them. For NIDDM, non-insulin dependent diabetic mellitus, there are 4 families of drugs available on this planet. One is biguanides. Number 2 is sulfonylureas. Number 3, pioglitazones. Number 4, sitagliptin. These 4 family of drugs, your doctor will advise you the most suitable one for you. Okay, that's it.
Can you say something about the discovery of insulin, sir?
Yes, right from early 18th century, many great medical physiologists, doctors, so many people were indulged in finding out a solution for this disorder. And finally, 2 Canadian doctors, namely Frederick Banting and J.J. McLeod, both succeeded in isolating this insulin from their own dog. and they made a concoction of those and they injected it into another dog, a diabetic dog. The dog survived, showed excellent results. Then finally, they, Dr. Best and his colleague, who were assisting these two doctors, refined further, isolated a pure insulin. And that insulin was given to a dying patient, young dying patient of type 1 diabetes. And he was declared to be dead in a matter of days. And after injecting him, he remarkably recovered and he lived for another 17 years after that. This has become a big, wild news all over the globe. And both the doctors were nominated for 1923 Nobel Prize. And they were gracious enough to share their portions with their assistants. This is the history of discovery of insulin.
Thank you so much for providing us all valid information on diabetes, sir. So in our next episode, we are going to discuss about our Indian Constitution on children's education. So stay tuned for the next episode.